Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Harvey and she's Kaz, and we just watched the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. Happy 4th of July, everyone. I hope your weekend has been full of bratwurst, fireworks, cold beer, and IndyCar racing.
We sure got some. I think a lot of us in the middle of the country missed out on our fireworks due to storms last night, but we got a lot of IndyCar racing instead, and that was great too. This race was really like, I'm going to say it's really interesting, and it
Yeah.
was. And it was interesting because nothing chaotic or crazy happened.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, we had
we just had
no
such a clean
yellow
race.
flags, right?
Hmm.
No yellow flags, no DNFs.
Hmm.
So everybody finished. 24 cars finished on the lead lap.
Yep.
So but there was still a lot of action up and down the grid on the track. So yeah, and it really interesting race, even
Yeah,
though it was fairly straightforward.
it really highlighted how great pure racing can be, especially when conditions are difficult. This was a very, very physical race. And like you said on one of our preview episodes, there are very few passing opportunities at Mid Ohio, and we still got plenty of wheel to wheel action and some really, really nice looking maneuvers. Speaking of nice looking maneuvers, I think we should dive right in with Pato O'Ward, who won his first race of the season, is on the podium for the first time this season. Super happy for the guy, and the
Yeah.
pass he put in on Christian Lundgaard to take the lead was a really, really nice piece of racing.
Yeah, I think that was a nice one. And he talked about that in the press conference afterwards about racing with someone you trust. He said, look, I knew he would give me enough room so we wouldn't take each other out. And that wasn't a team thing, that was a
Hmm.
Christian thing. Because he said, I would have made the same move on Alex
Yep.
because I know he would do it. There are some people in this series that you just know you can race with. And I think that was one of them. I think the other big move that he made was when he passed um,
Dennis Hauger.
Dennis Hauger and put that gap between them. I think that really solidified his position so he could then run a couple of clean laps and do the overcut, which really helped him.
It sure did. Putting a back marker between him and Lundgaard and Malukas behind really allowed him to open up that gap in a way that it created a situation where Pato would have had to make a mistake to lose
Yep.
the race to one of his teammates, or not one, to his teammate or his fellow competitors, especially given they were all in the same strategy, and his team did not make a mistake. Nobody there did, nor did he. It was just one of those, the right guy won today. He
Yeah.
drove the best.
He drove the best. His team prepared him the best. His team executed flawlessly on the pit road. He talked about that multiple times,
Hmm.
both in the winner circle interview and in the post-race press conference that we attended. So he's quick to point that out. And it was interesting also to hear Tony Kanaan talk about the fact that this team, he's really, you can tell he's really ratcheting up the expectations for this team.
Yeah.
That, you know, obviously it's been McLaren for what, 4 or 5 years now. Um, but before that, it wasn't as big a name team. But now that they have that name on the door, everyone there has to live up to that name and perform to the McLaren expectations.
Yeah.
So,
And he talked about how the new facility that they opened last July has kind of played into that, about how, um, you know, if you want to compete with the Penskes, the Ganassis, you need not just the facility for the, convenience of having the right equipment, the enough space, all of that kind of stuff, but it's about team culture as well.
yeah.
It's about walking around like you are champions. People going into work every day and feeling that support and seeing that level of investment from their team helps them put that level of personal investment in. And I can tell from his demeanor that he's taking big swings.
Hmm.
Do I necessarily, we don't, he was also quick to point out that nothing has been confirmed. So
Yeah.
we have to be clear about that.
I thought that was a good answer to a question I think we all know the answer
Yeah,
to when, saying how can you walk away from Lundgaard now,
yeah.
considering his performance? He said, we haven't, right? Not yet. But then as he talked, it felt like, I don't know, what did you take away from that?
I look, I hesitate to assign motive to words when nothing was put in plain English. But when that's all we have to work with, I'm going to say it did feel to me like a majority of what he was saying was kind of back end justifying saying goodbye. He was incredibly complimentary of Christian, but it didn't feel like even if we were in a situation where, like, wait, the deal's not done, we're still deciding, I still think he maybe would have been more emphatic about wanting to keep him, wanting to
Hmm.
continue to work with him. It felt a little past tense, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. But yeah, there were other great performances in this race. I think we have to look at Rinus VeeKay finishing
Yes.
fourth. That is a great finish for him and Jukos Hollinger.
Yes.
He's one of those drivers that has a lot to gain with a strong second half of the season.
There are a number of great seats open, and the addition of two charter cars means that there's even more. Obviously, we've got some other interest from drivers outside of the series, but Rinus VeeKay is, if I'm thinking about currently unsigned drivers outside of Christian Lundgaard, currently in the series, Rinus VeeKay's got to be at the top, near the top of that list of people I'd be interested in looking at talking to. So the performance that he put in all weekend, not just today, um, qualifying sixth was a huge feat. If he had finished in the top 10, that still would have been an excellent weekend for him. But he managed to improve his starting position and finish fourth. That's just such a great little entry in his,
Yeah.
package that he presents to teams who might be looking for a new driver. Being able to perform under that kind of pressure is fantastic. So
Yeah,
great weekend for Renus.
his resume got a whole lot stronger this weekend.
Yeah,
It'll be
definitely.
interesting to see what they can bring to a super speedway in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. But
So,
the thing that Renus always does have to fall back on is JHR is still building.
right.
And the other thing Renus always has to fall back on is, look, I think he outperforms his teammate very regularly.
And not
And
by a little bit.
it's just an expectation that he's going to. So whereas other drivers, you've got maybe a more competitive teammate to
Right.
compare them to. With Renus, you're just looking at him exclusively because you can't really use Stingray as a comparison point.
No, no, Stingray had a better weekend this weekend, but still, he's not. I mean, he dropped places from a pretty solid qualifying position for him.
Yeah. Yeah, we were very, very happy to see him qualify where he did, and to have him finish 22nd is just a disappointment.
Yeah.
So
Other good races. I think
Kyle Kirkwood, obviously, let's round out the podium and talk about Kyle. This is his first road course podium. Could you believe that?
that's crazy. I mean, as good as he is on the streets, you would think that would translate to road courses. Plus, as he talked about in the press conference, he's won here several times in the road to Indy. So in, the 2000 series in the NX Indy Next, he's won at Road America. And actually, I thought it was really
At
funny.
Mid
So
Ohio.
I mean, at Mid Ohio, yes. And I thought it was really funny that David Land asked him, "What did you find?" He said, "I didn't find anything. I've always known how to drive this track."
Yeah, he said he didn't really think that he drove any differently in the last like 4 years at Mid
Yep.
Ohio, but he talked a lot about finding some great things in the car at the test that they did, how well that test went, and how well they were able to translate it into race weekend. Patently refused to expand at all, which I appreciated. He shouldn't.
Yeah. People kept
Don't give
asking,
away
"What
your
did you find?
secrets.
What did you find? He said, I'm not going to tell you. Why
Mhm.
would I tell you that?
Someone
I,
asked him at one point how many things were changed. They were like, "Okay, I know you can't tell us what, but can you tell us how many?" And he first he said no, and then he said, "Honestly, I don't even think I could." Like that's I and we're
I,
like, "Yeah, he's got people for that." That's
that's right. And yeah, talking about people for that too. Someone asked Lundgaard if it was a distraction. Was he thinking about, was he going to be proactive about finding, the next seat? And he just said no. I'm focused on winning races. If I win races, everything else will take care of itself. And my feeling is also he has a team for that, right? He's
yeah,
got
he's got a
managers, he's got
manager for
agents,
sure.
he's got all that stuff. They're out there making the phone calls for him. They're telling him, "You just win races, we'll get you the best deal."
That's exactly it. The very best thing that Christian can do is focus on racing, like he clearly did this weekend.
Yeah,
As long as he's employing the right people, the results he's putting in now are going to. I think worst case scenario for him is Meyer Shank,
right.
and that is not a bad place to land.
No, given where their trajectory is right now and how they feel like they're ready to move up into the top tier teams, especially since, they may be the one that gets that Honda charter, right?
Yeah, yeah, very well might be.
So,
I would like to take a brief moment to acknowledge what are Joseph Newgarden's bones made of? Is he a superhero? Is this like a $6 million man situation? Have we rebuilt him? Um,
yeah, I
it was
mean,
already a physical race, and then to add the challenge of not being your whole self, still being on crutches, walking around. I'm just so wildly impressed with the physical stamina that he showed.
the fact that he finished where he started.
Ugh,
I mean, you
in the
you
top
heard
10.
you heard my prediction this morning. I
Yeah.
did not think that he could physically withstand the G forces and the just intensity and relentlessness this track throws at you. And he proved me wrong. And
Yeah.
good for him. Good for
Yeah,
him.
I'm just wildly impressed as I continue to follow his injury recovery. It seems like every race there's something new to talk about why it's going to be more difficult for him, and he uh,
Well,
just wildly outperforms any expectation anyone could have.
based on this performance and based on what I see as a resurgence of the Chevy power plant,
Hmm.
because they finished seven in the top 10
Yeah,
this weekend with Chevys. And this is traditionally not a Chevy track.
I mean it's the Honda race.
Right. But
I know,
that's
but
because the factory's near there.
I know, but
But,
still,
and good on Chevy for doing to Honda what Honda did to Chevy in Detroit.
yep, definitely.
So,
You need to answer for that.
yeah. So, but given Joseph's performance, given the what looks like resurgence of Chevy power and competitiveness, I would put him as a favorite for 2 weeks in Nashville.
Yeah,
I think,
we've got a number of tracks coming up that should play right into Joseph's hands. So if he continues to heal
yeah,
and be able to, you know, he's very comfortable in Nashville. I think we've all seen that. So
yes, yes, he is. And while he's sitting sixth in the championship, um, he's not going to win it this year, but certainly he can make his way into the top five
yeah,
easily
I definitely think
with
so.
some good finishes. I mean, it's going to be an interesting finish to this championship. I mean, Alex again today, a great recovery drive, finished top five, which while they closed the gap by Kirkwood is now 56 points behind, so it was 60 last week.
Hmm.
If people are only closing 4 points a race, they're not catching him.
Sure, but
So,
I think the main takeaway I have from the last few races when it comes to Alex, and this is something he talked about. Alex is looking human.
yeah.
Uh, he he talked about at Road America after the race, he was asked, to talk a little bit about his oh sorry, it was after he won the poll, and he was asked to talk a little bit about that poll streak, and he said, I think that what the poll streak proves is that we've gotten better in our engineering and dialing the car in than we were in the past, but we're not executing on race day the same way we were last year, and that's why this insane pace that we're able to show in qualifying doesn't always translate into the race. And I think that that's true. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think he
Although,
looks more human.
yeah,
He's making decisions that aren't perfect, that aren't, being touched by little pixie dust to make them work out exactly perfectly every time. And it's not like, I'm not saying it's super likely, but at this point I would say it's very believable that somebody might catch Alex by the end of the season, be it Kyle or David or Christian.
yeah, those are
Or
the
hey,
three.
maybe Pato. He
Yeah,
likes
I mean,
Nashville too.
Pato's 94 points behind, so mathematically reasonably still in, but he's going to have to win
A
two or
lot.
three races down the
Yeah.
stretch and be top five, which top five is not an issue for him.
Hmm.
That's been his season all season.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to win a couple of races, be on the podium a couple of races, and Alex is going to have a bad race
Yeah.
somewhere along
At
there.
least one. Certainly
Right.
at least one DNF or finish toward the back somewhere. It's nobody's going to get there just by being a little bit better. The lead is too big for that.
Right.
But I don't think I'm looking at an Alex Palou and 10 car team that I think are wildly unlikely to make a mistake and blow a race.
Yeah. No, they're not. But we saw it in Phoenix.
Yeah.
You get at the wrong place at the wrong time on a track, and we've got Nashville. We've got two races in Milwaukee. Those are all high chaos races. So, you know,
2 races in Milwaukee. So
yeah,
great.
I
Thank
know.
you so
I'm
much, IndyCar.
hoping to get to Milwaukee on Wednesday for the test. We'll see if I can pull that off and make it work for my schedule. It would be fun to ride the Ducati over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, take some pictures. I think just a couple of more people who I want to briefly touch on. Kyle Collette, I thought had a very, very, very nice day.
Yep,
I
top
know he's
10.
yeah, that's really, really great for the rookie. I'm super happy to see him there. Um, and it makes the rookie of the year fight a little bit fun.
Yeah, he's what? He's only 12, 16 points behind
Yeah. And
Hauger now.
Hauger's looked like he's been struggling a little bit recently. I know we've seen
Well,
some incredible things, but
yeah,
he hasn't been anywhere really points wise over the last couple of races. So Coyote's just looking really great, and I'm so excited to have two rookies that have given us so many good moments in this, first 2/3 of the season, roughly. It's really fun to think about the future with these two.
yeah. I think the other person give a hit tip of the hat to is Nolan Siegel.
Yeah, dude,
He
top 10 finish, great job.
yeah, and again, TK at the press conference said, yeah, we had one too, but we had three cars in the top 10.
Yeah,
And that is so obviously Siegel's not coming back. We all know that, but you know, and
and
I always know this as a when I was running companies and I would have employees that were good people, but maybe weren't going to work out. You want to give them as good a chance as possible
sure,
when they leave you, right? You
sure.
want to set them up for success. And I think they would love it if Nolan went out, found another team, performed well, and took some of what he learned with him to that
And
next
the
gig.
the thing about Nolan, Christian Lundgaard, okay, it is crazy to think he's getting dropped by McLaren after the season he's had, but you are in no way worried he's not going to find another seat. Like, you're seeing Christian Lundgaard in the series next year. The question is just, what is his race suit going to look like? With
Right.
Nolan, that's not necessarily the case. He brings a lot a lot of experience from McLaren, and Nolan does bring some cash with him. He is
Yep.
one of those drivers who comes with some money. So I can definitely see some teams being interested in him, but I don't know that it's a done deal or a lock from anybody.
No, but say Kyle Collette leaves AJ Foyt, there's a seat,
Yeah. It's
or
it's just it's good for him to
Renus
have
leaves JHR.
JHR. Sure. It's good
Those
for
are
him to have this kind of performance right now. And we've noted it before. Nolan is a nice person. Like just a genuinely nice person.
every
So,
time we talk to him, he is
mhm.
just, always wants to give more time than he's
Yeah,
able to.
it's
So,
he's I want the best for him very, very much.
yeah. So, yeah, I thought great race sets the rest of the season up for a championship fight. I think this is what we wanted. I think, Mid Ohio looked good on camera. I
Yeah, it
think
did. Look great.
the fans came out. I wonder how leading into a World Cup match will do for the ratings as
That's an
opposed
interesting
to
question.
following. Did we get people in for the last hour of that race? While they're settling in to watch the soccer this afternoon.
That's an interesting question. I could see that happening. Huh.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I mean, it's a tough weekend, 4th of July. A lot of people have a lot of different plans.
And I
So,
do think qualifiers are definitely not that qualifier ratings are anything that we usually like, scream
no.
about, but the qualifier ratings were certainly impacted by the storms and rain delays. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people who would have preferred to watch them in the early afternoon and then be able to go to their barbecues in the evening and wound up
Who,
just going to the
me?
barbecue. No, you watched
No, I know
them.
we did watch them, but we could have, it would have been nicer to have them done earlier so we could have done the podcast before that evening. So,
Yeah,
but Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature wants to do. So
just respect her.
let's talk about our Victory Lane game.
Yep, let's do it.
Because
Sure.
I think we had a better week slightly than we've
Yeah,
had in the
we had
past.
a better week than we've been having. But it wasn't good enough. And that's okay. We're learning. We're getting better every week.
Yes.
So we'll start with the podium. I had Alex Palou coming in third, and he did improve from his eighth place start, but not enough to sit on that podium.
Right.
Um, what are you gonna do?
Nothing you can do. I had Malukas
No
at
points.
third, and that pit stop really hurt him.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised how much that compounded over the next few, and the fact that he finished eighth, I believe, was surprising, given that it was only a 3 second drop out of the pits, but they just couldn't make that back up.
You know what? Ordinarily, I would agree with you. But in this particular race, where everybody was executing at that high level, if you're
Yeah.
the one person who makes a mistake, that's going to impact a whole lot more than if you make a mistake in a big slew of people doing the same.
Yeah.
I
Marcus
think David
Ericsson's
just,
the same
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. I think David just had a mistake on a weekend when very few other people did. And, still a totally fine points wise finish for Malukas. So, um,
Yeah.
second step of the
Speaking of,
podium, second step of the podium, I had David Malukas. And he very well may have finished there had it not been for his little pit stop error, but it was. So no points for me on that one either.
and because of that little pit stop error, my second step of the podium was correct in Christian Lundgaard.
It was.
And that was kind of forced by what I knew you were going to do, which was take him for the first step. So
Yep.
I took him second and end up with 2 points.
Yep.
Yay.
Congratulations. And I picked him to win the race. I really did think he was going to. Little error again, little errors, you
Yeah,
know?
he talked about after the race that he drove as hard as he could, but they just couldn't get the rear of the car set up the way they wanted it, so he couldn't get the grip coming out of turn two to get
Yep.
that run down that straight, and that's where Pato got him.
Yep.
And he raced him hard, but he wasn't going to race him dirty.
Yeah, and certainly not to his and the team's detriment, which
Right.
it very well could have been.
Even though
So,
there are no papaya rules in IndyCar.
papaya rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately for me, that's only 1 point. He still did wind up on the podium, but I did not call the position correctly. And because I picked Christian to win, you had another
Yep.
great
I
stroke
know.
of
I
brilliance.
picked Pato and he ended up in first place, so I get 2 points there. So
Yep.
I come out of the podium with 4 points and you come out with one.
With a wee little one. My luck did improve when it came to biggest mover. We
Yep.
discussed this. We had a lot of options, and typically when you have a lot of options on a physical track, you want to take the guy with the most experience. But something about Scott Dixon had me side-eyeing after his qualifier performance. So I picked Marcus Armstrong, who moved up 10 positions from 24th to 14th. Fantastic job, Marcus. Thank you so much because that means I get a point. Yay.
Yes, that is good. And I think good for him again as well.
Hmm.
He just signed that big deal with
Yep.
Meyer Shank and to show that he can make his move up the grid and finish strong like that. Good for him.
Yep.
So,
Definitely.
and I took the experience of Dixon, and while he moved up a few places, it didn't help me. So I get zero.
Nowhere near biggest mover territory. Yep. And then when it comes to biggest bust, uh, I I love Christian Rasmussen, but
Yeah.
I just didn't think he would. I didn't think I either thought he would do something crazy or just on pure pace he would wind up losing quite a few positions. But man, for Christian Rasmussen to only lose 2 positions, what a fantastic on a road course. What a day
Yeah.
for him. I'm so happy to see it. And
Yeah.
I'm even more excited to go to Nashville and to Milwaukee with him.
Yes.
This race
The,
kind of just reminded me why I like to watch him so much.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, he's going to be great. And then we talked about Joseph Newgarden already. I picked him figuring he wouldn't be able to take the strain on his left ankle. I was wrong. I get
Yeah,
0 points there. So
he's the $6 million man.
at the end of biggest bust and the podium, you have two, I have four, and we move to our plot twist.
I was confident
And
in this one, but I realized that I made a mistake. I should have. My plot twist was that Alex Palou, after qualifying eighth, would be leading a lap within 18 laps. Of course, though, starting that far back and knowing how much Alex prefers the primary tire set, I should have just assumed that he would start on the alts and ditch them quickly, and that a pit stop would prevent this from being even remotely possible. But I didn't
yep,
think it through that hard. I was just like, Alex starting eighth, psh, he'll be leading soon. So, so I am going to lose 2 points off of my plot twist, which means I am ending the day. Once again, I think this is like the third week in a row. I'm ending
at
the day
zero.
with a big, solid goose egg.
Yep. And I end up the day +2 because I said there would be an all Chevy podium. And man,
And
I
we were
came
close.
close.
And we were
Uh,
close.
we were close. Obviously, the two McLarens had the Chevy, but Kirkwood edged out VK and took that third podium position. So only 2 points. I lose 2 points. So I end up +2 on the day. So I think that moves me back into the lead.
Yep, you're in the lead by 1 point. You have 4.5 points for the whole season.
Let's see if we can make this move a little more in the right direction. But maybe like Pato, we're just finding our feet now and we'll have a stronger final third of the season.
One of these days, one of us is going to nail a plot twist and it's going to shake everything up.
All right. Well, that's it for the this episode of Rides and Drives Team Radio. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. I'm at Harvey _drives and she's Fast Car Kaz. So look for us on all those. And then also on TikTok, you can find us at Rides and Drives Team Radio. And we'll be back next week with an off week podcast. I'm not sure if we'll do more silly season stuff. We'll see what else we can learn. I might reach out to Chevrolet and see if I can find out what's going on with their engine program because it seems like they've turned a corner. Maybe I can get someone on as a guest from Chevrolet and we can talk about that.
Yeah, something positive is happening at Chevrolet, and much as I want to hear about it, I'm also sure they want to tell us. So let's see if we can't get some more information about what's going on over there and why things are going so well.
All right. So for Rides and Drives Team Radio, I'm Harvey. She's Kaz, and we are out.
Drive safe, everybody.